Before we start the actual content of this presentation, you should know that this video has been recorded for use in more than one class. As a result, there may be some things in this video that do not apply to the specific class that you are taking. Please just consider that an added bonus at no extra charge. This particular presentation will cover a number of financial tools used in evaluating the choice between potential projects. I should also add that the formats have been pre-entered into this video to save time on the video. You most likely won't have that luxury if you are doing this in the real world. So let's get started. As I say in all my videos, the uses and workings of these tools and principles are explained in your textbook or on the web. These videos are just to show how to calculate the numbers and to show in what format the numbers are usually presented. This first problem shows how to calculate a net present value for a project. Since the problem asks for a comparison between two projects, two net present values will need to be calculated. Before digging into the actual problem, you should note that this can be done in a horizontal format like on the screen before you, or it can be done vertically. If the project being evaluated is more than 4 or 5 years, using a vertical format is probably more practical. The formula is exactly the same, but the layout is different. To start this problem, the data needs to be entered into the framework. First, enter 7.5% into this workbook cell to the right of discount rate. In the workbook cell directly below the underlined 0, a minus $650,000 is entered. In the workbook cell to the right of that, $280,000 is entered. $380,000 is entered in the workbook cell to the right of that. And finally, $370,000 is entered into the workbook cell on the right end of that line. Dropping down one line and over to the workbook cell under the minus $650,000, a minus $415,000 is entered. In the workbook cell to the right of that, $240,000 is entered. $200,000 is entered into the workbook cell to the right of that. And finally, $350,000 is entered into the workbook cell on the right end of that line. The nature of the net present value function is quite interesting. In reality, the function is only calculating the net present value of years 1, 2, and 3. To do that, it needs a discount rate. Highlight the workbook cell directly under NPV and type in an equal sign, followed by NPV, followed by an open parenthesis. Highlight the 7.5%, enter a comma, and highlight the row of workbook cells from the $280,000 to the $370,000. Enter a close parenthesis, followed by a plus sign. Highlight the minus $650,000 and press enter. The bottom line here is that the future cash flows discounted at 7.5% less the initial investment of $650,000 returns a net present value for this project of $237,127. When dealing in numbers of this size, don't even bother with the decimal places. Since this is a fairly simple formula, highlight the workbook cell under the $237,127, type in an equal sign, followed by NPV, followed by an open parenthesis. Highlight the 7.5%, enter a comma, and highlight the workbook cells from the $240,000 to the $350,000. Type in a close parenthesis, followed by a plus sign. Highlight the minus $415,000 and press enter. The net present value of the second project is $263,059. With no other factors to consider, the second project should be chosen as it will produce greater revenue for the company. There are more metrics in this video to help decide on the choice between projects. In general, The net present value is the best of the metrics. The metrics in this video are probably in the order of most dependable to least dependable. Since the numbers being used for this video will be the same for all the analyses done, they have been pre-filled in for the rest of the problems. All that needs to happen now is to fill in the formula. Please note that the results of different types of analyses may not always come to the same conclusion. After the formulas are filled in, it will be seen whether the internal rate of return produces the same recommendations as the net present value. Highlight the workbook cell directly under IRR and enter the simple formula that starts with an equal sign, followed by IRR and an open parenthesis. Highlight the workbook cells on the line to the right from the minus $650,000 to the $370,000. Enter a close parenthesis and press Enter. Notice that the 7.5% is not used in this formula. The discount rate is not part of an internal rate of return analysis. For this formula, there is an easy copy to calculate the internal rate of return for the second project. Highlight the 25.65%, press the C key while holding down the Control key, arrow down one line, and press the V key while holding down the Control key. The 37.49% is a better return on the investment than the 25.65%. Again, the second project should be chosen. Accounting textbooks typically show the internal rate of return as a percentage to 1 or 2 decimal places. Use what your textbook shows.